Welcome to Encounter Wargaming. Today we're going to begin our talk about demons in 40k. What they are, how they're created. If you've been following the playlist so far, welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you check out the past videos in this playlist to get caught up on some of the basics we've covered so far. As usual, I'm Jay, and this is Warhammer 40k Metaphysics 101. Today we begin our discussion on demons. We'll get into gods in the future, since there is many definitions in 40k for what constitutes a god. But so far we've covered the warp, we've covered psychers, so the next logical step, at least in my opinion, is demons. So we're going to start with demons, what they exactly are, and then move on from there. Demons are called such after similar entities from ancient Terran mythologies. The majority of warp natives are demons. Of course, there are other warp spawn life forms, but that's also a topic for future videos. A demon, by definition, is an extension of its patron deity. They are created by a god that wishes to extend its influence and needs servants in order to do its bidding. For this reason, demons are generally a representation of their patron deity's nature. For example, plague bearers seek to spread all types of contagion and disease. This is because they are an extension of the power of the chaos god Nurgle, who is the lord of disease and pestilence. Another example are bloodletters. These foul entities crave bloodshed, and will do anything to either influence others to wage war and conflict, or just cause bloodshed and mayhem themselves. This instinctual behavior is due to the fact that their patron god is Khorne, who is the god of blood and war. For Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows, only that it does. Demons do have a mind of their own, so to speak, in the same sense that they can think and formulate plans that will expand their master's realm and influence. They do not, however, possess free will, at least not how we mortals understand it. The fact that demons are created by a god extending their power into separate consciousnesses means that at any point a god can reabsorb the demon back into his being at will. This keeps the demons in line, basically. If a demon were to try to go against their master or try to usurp his power, the god can just simply wipe them out of existence at the snap of a finger. So if you're a demon, it's best to do what your master tells you to do. It is important to point out that demons do not have physical forms in the sense that us mortals understand it also. They are purely made of warp energy. Even when they enter the physical universe, they don't really have a solid form as such, and therefore do not necessarily obey the laws of physics, since the laws of physics don't apply to warp space, as we discussed in prior videos. A demon's form is a projection of the nature of his master, and so represents the thoughts and emotions that give his master power. They do not have a physical body that remains static, much like ours does. They are able to change forms at will, or at their master's will, simply because they are made from the raw stuff of chaos itself, rather than physical matter. As we discussed in the first video in this playlist, the warp is a dimension of pure thought and emotion, and therefore is not subject to the confines of space and time. The only reason it's possible for flesh and blood entities to enter warp space is because they project a bubble of real space around their vessels, called a Geller field, in order to travel through the warp. In the same respect, a demon cannot exist in the material universe without a large amount of warp energy mixing with physical space. A good example of such is the Eye of Terror. In this area of space, the material and immaterial are so intermixed that demons can actually hold their form for long periods of time. This is why the worlds that exist in the Eye of Terror are known as demon worlds. They are generally hellish places that are shaped by the demons that inhabit them. Warp rifts similar to the Eye of Terror exist all across the galaxy. These areas of space where material and immaterial overlap are a haven for the followers of chaos, and are usually used as launching points for the many crusades that the legions of the dark gods unleash upon the inhabitants of the galaxy. With the advent of the Cicatrix Maledictum and the fall of Cadia, the instances of warp rifts and demonic possession have increased greatly across the galaxy. Many human and Xenos cultures have seen visions and portents of the inevitable dominion of chaos over the galaxy. As one warp rift is closed, many more open. This is so prevalent across the Imperium that even the Inquisition is hard-pressed to keep the infernal legions from overtaking the many Imperial worlds that span the void of space. Demons can also gain foothold in reality through the use of beliefs and prayers on the part of their mortal followers. This is why demons are rarely seen without the presence of a Chaos Cult or Chaos Space Marines, since they require these followers and their prayers and rituals in order to materialize in the first place, much less stay in the material universe for any length of time. For this reason, the ecclesiarchy works very hard to even keep the existence of chaos and demons a secret from most of the populace of the Imperium. They do this in the hope that what they don't know won't hurt them. And hopefully, if they don't know that chaos exists, then they can't be influenced by it. Clearly, the ecclesiarchy doesn't understand the true manipulative powers that demons possess. Chaos can take on many forms and will use the ignorance that people have of its existence as a tool to trick mortals into following them. Demons can appear to their followers as imperial saints or angels and use a mortal's beliefs against them in order to give their patron god power. Demons lie, cheat, deceive, and manipulate people who believe themselves to be devout followers of the imperial cult, just to find out that they've been feeding the dark gods all along with their beliefs and practices. It's through this deception that demons can overthrow entire planetary governments or turn planetary defense forces to the ranks of the chaos gods without them even knowing they're doing so. There's another factor that can help demons break out of the warp and into the physical universe that we've discussed in past videos as well. That's right, you guessed it, psychers. One of the most dangerous threats to the mortal races are untrained and unchecked psychers. A psycher's mind is intimately connected to the immaterium. This makes psychers targets for demonic entities. Much like a moth to a flame, demons are naturally attracted to those with psychic abilities. This means that psychers are constantly in danger of demonic influence and even demonic possession. This is probably the easiest way for demons to enter the physical universe. A demon may possess a psyker much easier than it can any other sentient being, or the sheer amount of warp energy that floods the mind of an untrained psyker can cause the psyker to literally explode, tearing a gateway between the warp and real space. This creates a wound in reality that the denizens of the warp can use to escape into the realm of flesh and blood. Once demons enter the material world through one of these gateways, it's hard for them to stay for very long. As stated earlier, they don't have physical bodies, and without a direct supply of warp energy, or at the very least the prayers and sacrifices performed by their god's followers, they cannot maintain a physical presence for an extended period of time. This is why you only see legions of demons when they're fighting alongside a Chaos Cult or Chaos Space Marine warband. Even if the demons could open a gateway through the use of a psyker, it will likely be short-lived unless there is more psychic energy used to keep them in this world. The followers of Chaos utilize many different techniques to help the demonic followers of their patron deity materialize in physical form in order to aid them in battle. These include things like voluntary possession, ritual sacrifice, psychic rituals and incantations, and the such. Through these methods, the followers of Chaos weaken the veil between the warp and the physical world. This allows the energies of the warp to be more readily accessible to the demonic legions they wish to summon in order to allow them to stay in reality for an extended period of time. When a demon is slain on the battlefield, it does not actually die. Remember, they don't have bodies of flesh and blood like you or I do. They are not killed, but are instead banished back into the warp, only to try to explain to their master why they failed. Usually, when a demon is slain, it is reabsorbed by its master and/or takes a massive hit to its pride. Remember also that a demon has a consciousness of their own, separate from their god's consciousness. Even if that consciousness is derived from their god's nature, demons do have pride and emotions, and as a result they do feel failure and shame, especially when they have to explain to their master why they failed and why they shouldn't be obliterated and reabsorbed. It is the common belief within the ecclesiarchy, which is the state religion of the Imperium of man, that once a demon is banished from this world, they must wait 1,000 years and a day in order to get another chance at entering the mortal world again. This is, of course, as much mythology as fact, and is impossible to prove, especially since time does not flow in the warp as it does in the material world. So it's likely that this is just a silly superstition. Not all demons are creations of the dark gods of chaos, though. There are those that were created out of raw emotion, so powerful that they are able to gain consciousness in the warp. One example of this is Draknien. You will hear the name of this demon most commonly mentioned when referring to Abaddon the Despoiler, since it's the demon that lives within his demon blade. Draknien was not created by a god, per se. Instead, it was given consciousness of its own in the warp when the first human murder took place. This act of great evil was so powerful that it literally created a demon, simply from the force of emotion that was generated by the act. As more and more humans slayed one another throughout history, the demon got more and more powerful. This allowed this demon to become so powerful that it was able to make pacts with the Chaos Gods rather than being a subject to them. The demon now resides within the Sword of Abaddon in order to absorb the souls of all that Abaddon slays. For every enemy that falls to the blade, it gives the demon more power. So that you can see that there are many conditions that create a demon. Usually they are the product of the whims of the dark gods. Other times they are simply a powerful act or emotion personified. However they are created, whatever their nature, they are an ongoing threat to the mortal races that inhabit the galaxy. The demonic legions of the ruinous powers simply wait patiently for the day that chaos will take the galaxy and absorb all reality into an age of darkness and anarchy. Sadly, that's all we have time for today, guys. I hope you're all enjoying this series as much as I'm enjoying compiling it. This was just a basic look at what demons are and how they influence our world. Next time, we'll get into the topic of gods. We'll talk about how and why they exist, and what it is exactly that makes a god a god. The word god has many different meanings in 40k, and over the course of this series, we'll explain why that is, and all the various types of beings that have been referred to as gods throughout the 40k timeline. If you like this video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe. If you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of our future content, make sure to hit that little bell icon below, and not only will you be notified when these videos come out, but also whenever we do one of our terrain tutorials, hobby tutorials, battle reports, unboxings, and all of the other great things we do here at Encounter Wargaming. Hopefully you noticed that there are no ads throughout this video. This is because we're not monetized, guys. If you want to help support us, please head to the description below and check out our Patreon campaign. For as little as $1 a month, you get our video content early, as well as a bunch of other perks, including discounts at hobby retailers and a whole bunch of other stuff. So check that out. But if a monthly contribution isn't your bag, then you can also check out our Spreadshirt page. Pick yourself up some sweet Encounter Wargaming merch, and it helps us out by giving us a few dollars to help keep the ball rolling, so to speak. With all that out of the way, I want to encourage a conversation of the various metaphysical topics we have and are going to cover in this series, so make sure to comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on the concept of demons in 40k. I love comments, and I always respond to them as quickly as possible, so don't be shy, guys. Let's get a conversation going. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you at our next encounter.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back